This is One Soccer Direct, just three really good looking guys discussing the world of football. Wheeler, AGR, and Wilson with you. As the FIFA World Cup just came to an end, is this the end of international football as we know it? As the FIFA World Cup is apparently for sale. Gianni Infantino willing to open the doors for outside investors to purchase $4 billion, upwards of 20% stake of the FIFA World Cup. This entire concept has received plenty of criticism worldwide over the last 24 hours since Martin Ziegler's report came to light, and others pressure on the 211 member associations to push through such a plan. September 19th is the date to do so, or member associations will not be able to receive upwards of $40 million each for obliging, for agreeing, and making this a massive transformation in terms of the way that the world's game is structured. What do you make of this before we get into some of the micro, Jordan? From the macro perspective, what do you make of this new push? This seems like international's football Super League moment. The question is, well, is this idea super in any way, shape, or form?
Not for me. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. This seems like Infantino, all the madness that was going on with Trump at the last World Cup, the fact that something so pure, as coveted as a World Cup and how beautiful it could be, it just didn't feel like that for large portions this past World Cup that we just experienced. So I'm not shocked, but what I will say is, you mentioned the Super League. I hope this is dismantled. Like, I hope this is dealt with the same way, if not more, the same way the Super League was, as like erroneous, as something out of this world that should not happen. There are very few things in this life that are pure, that should be untouched. And when the World Cup and countries get together every 4 years, this shouldn't be something with stakes and dollars and things that go around with it. I don't like it. And the thing that sticks out to me, my mother would always say, all money is not good money. You know, like it's not, that's just what it is. Like, it's not. And the reason why my older brother would say, look, that guy with the fly Air Force Ones that has all the bling and that wants to pay for your boots and all that comes with strings attached, right? Don't take certain things from certain people. That's what's sticking out to me right now. I hope that football can win. We need to get a bounce back. Wheels, we talked about so many times this World Cup as well, that the trajectory or the area that we're starting to step into. I really hope we revert and go back the other way. I do not want to see this happen one bit.
AGR, what about you?
Yeah, I think this is unfortunately what has happened with the game, right? The game has been heading this way. So, I mean, I'm not a fan. I think this is horrible. And it just shows that for FIFA, for Gianni Infantino specifically, the World Cup has been a cash cow. And it started long before. It started with, okay, what are some ways we can continue to extract more and more money from what people have realized potentially might be the most lucrative sporting event in the world. And then next, fans are getting affected with tickets. Can you make the competition bigger to make it more of a spectacle? This is just the latest version of finding another piece to squeeze. And I think what's so frustrating about it is this is needed. Like this FIFA made a lot of money off the last World Cup. So why are they in a position where they need to be pulling more money out? I think this is a matter of, like, when does it end? Like, till what point? Like, until you've squeezed everything left and you're just getting money to make money, because it long ago became that. And this is so blatantly clear that that's the case. This isn't someone trying to rescue an organization in distress. This is someone at the top of a mountain trying to make his pile of cash even bigger.
Yeah, it's the thing that is jarring is coming out of a World Cup that you're seeing the responses from member regions and associations saying that they were not consulted on this. If this came out of the blue, then who inherently does this benefit? Conveniently enough, these payments would be made in 2027, right before the next FIFA presidential election, where Gianni Infantino is looking to regain his seat. A power play, absolutely. An opportunity to fill the pockets of smaller associations worldwide, absolutely as well. This is the thing. This might not be in the best interest of fans. I don't know how the argument can be made that it's in the best interest of fans. I think that none of us live in a silo where we don't feel the effects of commercialization of sport. It happens on all levels, but something like the FIFA World Cup, an organization like FIFA, who one is supposed to be a not-for-profit, but two have made record revenues up to $15 billion over the last 3-year cycle. This just seems to be something more than just money. It's consolidation of power. And the FIFA structure with 211 global associations that all have a vote, an equal vote in how FIFA is run, it consolidates power not with the big football associations of the massive significant countries which really drive the sport forward. It actually supports the smaller associations who have much more to gain from significant financial windfalls than some of the bigger states. So do you guys see any appetite for the world to come together? I know UEFA has a meeting, which is an emergency meeting, which is going to take place on Thursday afternoon. But is there going to be enough global pushback to stop this from happening, AGR, from where you sit? Or the fact that this has just come about might suggest that Infantino is confident that this will pass, which might explain the brazen nature of the entire operation here.
Well, I feel like there's two entities that are obviously going to be very important. I think number one is the fan, because Jordan mentioned the Super League. It was interesting that such a proposal, and then we have to remember, like, club football is different from international football. Like, club football is a business. It's more of a private entity. Decisions like the Super League make a lot of financial sense for these leagues that want to balloon revenues and make the game more entertaining, et cetera, et cetera. But if, the fans were just not on board, and rightfully and understandably so. And then eventually the Super League had to back down. So I think fan support here is critical, because at the end of the day, this is the world's game. The fans play a big part. They're the reason why the World Cup and all the related entities with FIFA, all these other tournaments, are a huge smashing success. And then otherwise, I think this is going to be a moment where some of the top nations can maybe wield a bit of influence. Because yes, the way it's currently set up, that the nations like Montserrat, Turks and Caicos Islands, Belize, I'm just naming CONCACAF one, where you can go across the world, right? You can go to Tonga, American Samoa. All these countries have the same influences as the Frances, the Germanys, the Argentinas. Well, this is going to be where some of the top nations, especially on the UEFA side, where I think this is kind of one of those water, that last water in the bucket kind of overflow moment with the Balogun controversy, the hosting, all this stuff, where step up and show some influence, because what is FIFA without the top nations? And I think that's a question that not many people have thought about, because I think for the most part, UEFA's just gone along like, okay, like, we're not happy, but we're going to put up with this and try to figure out a way to just to change things from within. Well, I think that moment is going to have to come now, because at what point does it stop, and what point is too much?
Do fans have power here? Like, on the club level, I understand what you're saying, AGR. Absolutely. Fans have had a considerable voice, whether it be overseas in the Super League, saving the Columbus Crew. We hope the same thing in our own country happens with the Vancouver Whitecaps, as the will of the people changes the course of action. It's just international football, it seems so big. And now that various other power brokers are now entering the arena, Jordan, it seems like this is more so something that we're experiencing here in 2026, where the powerful get more power and the rest are forced to go along with it.
I'd like to think this is a line that isn't crossed, but I totally get what you're saying, Wheels. It does feel inevitable is too strong of a word, but like, it's going in that direction, meaning those that are rich are going to get richer, and they're going to use certain means to kind of build up their own pockets, but also use the game to go and do that. I just hope that this is the line that doesn't get crossed, personally. And I also know that if you go and shake certain hands, and it might seem like a situation that will benefit certain countries, but if the big dogs are united, and if people understand and try to keep the purity of the game intact, this shouldn't go through. Like that's just what it looks like for me. Hydration breaks, all these other things that have happened throughout this past World Cup that I'm looking at, and I was like, I didn't like. Probably I loathed it to some degree. I hate it because it wasn't the purity of the game. This is a step too far. And I think those that know this game and have loved it and watched it, it's the same when you're talking about, this is a whole nother topic, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. It's just like pushing the World Cup to be every 2 years. Like, it's just, there's certain things, there's reasons why you have things in place, right? For the health of the players, the fans, like to covet a certain trophy like the World Cup. You're doing it every 2 years. It just changes how things are looked and how it's viewed. I really hope that the world could stand up and just kind of put an end to this foolishness.
It seems like UEFA is leading the way in the protestation, although I believe Czechia is one of the countries that seems to think that this might be a good idea, at least for their own individual association. There's plenty that's going to play out in the coming hours, days, and weeks. What we do know is a number of member associations have released public statements. As of yet, the Canadian Soccer Association has not. We and I have personally requested a statement from Canadian Soccer Association. We'll see if one comes a little bit later on today. But we do know is CONCACAF, which is headed up by Canadian Victor Montagliani. He's their president. He's also FIFA vice president. CONCACAF has expressed disappointment at the lack of consultation before the proposal was made public. I should mention that's a very different statement than being completely against said proposal. But at the very least, they do not like how the process has played out, at least from a public perspective. What about Canada Soccer? I mean, they're the one of the 211 member associations. They're obviously an association that have faced financial challenges in the past as well, and are still looking to build a brighter future. Should Canadian soccer see this plan as a dangerous way for football to go, Jordan, despite the fact that at least over the short term, they can see some kind of benefit from a financial windfall?
But at what cost, right? Like, I get it, because obviously it's what I brought up before about this said drug dealer that was never in my life, but just this mythical creature that I was like, look, you go shake hands with them, what happens down the road, right? And how far were they willing to go? I get it. Someone asked me right now, are going to give me $50,000, I would go and take it, right? But what is the catch? What are you locking into, right? And I think that part of it, the purity of the game and how things should be done, don't think you bite that apple. Don't think you go down that road. Don't think you go down that alleyway. I wouldn't want it. And I get it for Canada, getting a bag of money. Do you think that these people that are going to give these dollars really care about the infrastructure and growing the game from grassroots levels, from the U20s that are playing right now? Or do you think they care about the one big tournament? That's just the FIFA World Cup. Like, that's what I'm like, I just don't like that. The strings that would be attached to this, we can go on and on. It's just putting football in a state that we don't need it to be. And I wouldn't want that to be a case for Canada, for any country for that matter.
Yep. AGR?
Yeah, well, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I think at the crux of this, and I think that's what it's been clear, the way it's leaked, the way CONCACAF and the Asian Federation as well, AFC reacted, or the way UEFA reacted. This is a Gianni Infantino power play, right? This isn't a FIFA reform or something of the sort. This is an Infantino power play because, as we mentioned, the election is next year. He wants to run again. He wants to get his hands all over this. So if from a Canada soccer perspective, while any sort of financial windfall is nice, this can go for a lot of the other, like, especially if you're going to look at CONCACAF, the way the statement is rewarded. I think CONCACAF would welcome something like this financially, because obviously it would help a lot of their smaller members that could use 20 million straight up front. But then it means 4 more years of Gianni Infantino, and what it's that's the deal you're making. So is that something that you're willing to go along with? I think right now, based on Gianni Infantino's track record, I certainly don't think that'd be one that the fans would be supportive of, and I'm sure a lot of executives. But it also depends on what your interests are. If you want 4 more years of Gianni Infantino, it's going to be a lot more corporate Americanization of the sport, of the World Cup, and that, as we mentioned, it does not look to be a good thing at all.
Well, what Infantino is holding over the heads of these member associations is money. And money talks. We know that within this association and other associations. We also understand the need to further find ways of commercialization and revenue. We're not naive, but this plan, which looks very self-serving in the interest of Infantino and his mates Kushner and Trump and the usual cast of characters, which had so much power, so much clout at the recent FIFA World Cup, you wonder whether he's just taken a step too far. So let's discuss Gianni Infantino. Has he finally gone too far? Could this be the move that sees him lose his reign atop FIFA? Or is this a smart play by him to continue to consolidate power and become the de facto governor or de facto president of football, more than just in title, but in all actuality as well, AGR.
Yeah, well, as it stands with the FIFA system, this is a great power play, right? That's because unfortunately, all 211 members carry an equal vote. So if Infantino can find a way to please as many of them and set himself up where no matter what UEFA does, no matter what the other member associations, how they feel, the big countries, he'll get enough votes to be elected and get 4 more years. So for Infantino, from that perspective, this absolutely gives him all sorts of power. What this does do, though, it pokes the hornet's nest. And that's where we talk about what happened earlier. Is this the line that is crossed that forces UEFA to pull some sort of boycott? Does this the sort of play that forces a new candidate to emerge? We have to remember, too, the way things are set up, Infantino is probably going to run unopposed against no one because no one wants to dare. Is this the move that pulls out a strong candidate that decides enough is enough and finds a way to bridge the gap that exists where smaller countries are obviously going to want the money that Infantino has been promising them while providing the things that these bigger nations need and want out of the game? Who knows? But it definitely feels like Infantino is pushing his luck, and whether, and I think that kind of shows where he is, where he's to this point, he's gotten away with it. And the way it's set up, he probably will get away with it. But maybe this is the one that pushed a little too far.
Jordan?
I'm disappointed, but it's also intriguing, right? We're sitting here talking about it for 20 minutes. Like, people are talking about all around the world. This will keep developing. It will be a question. Do you like it? Do you not? Like, I understand the power play and the move. And from his standpoint, of course, it's smart. I just don't. I hope, I pray, fingers and toes crossed, that this is not something that we're talking about soon, that is nullified, that's dealt with, similar to the Super League. Just because you start going down that road, you start going down that rabbit hole, it's never ending as well. And it seems like something small, like, oh, you get this price, you get this money, you get this fee, this cash prize that you can deal with in your federation. This will be the beginning of the end for me. Like, I could see that coming from a mile away. So from him standpoint, you're going to do it. You're going to put your stake in the ground. You're going to be like, I'm the one who started this. You're going to make sure that you're impenetrable to the people that you love. From the football standpoint, we're already on this wave from after this past World Cup, saying the fans need to get the game back. The game needs to be pure again. We don't need to be diving into all this, the nonsense that we subscribe to unwillingly to some degree for this past World Cup. This is going in a different direction, hard and fast. So again, the people that could actually save this and need to stand up, I hope that they do.
I'll just say this before we wrap up. That purity you speak about, the soul of football and the soul of football governance, when was the last time we felt that the game was in that place? I feel like Pandora's box was open in terms of club football. It's happened before the Super League with hedge funds and different sorts of groups buying equity in clubs that mattered to people on a very local level. And I think that this is the natural evolution that it spread to the international game. The way that Infantino has gone about this is completely on par with everything that we know about Johnny Infantino. The question is, will it be enough of other power brokers in the game to try to wrestle some of that strength back and try to recalibrate the direction that this sport is going? I'm sorry, the last FIFA World Cup here in the United States and Canada and Mexico, it was wonderful on a number of levels, and it was horrific on other levels. The fact that true fans, true people that have supported this sport for a long time are now on the outside looking in terms of stadiums, involvement in the sport, where all the power and the opportunity is now given to politicians or celebrity. It's a really bad look for a game that's supposed to be about being something different. But I just wonder if we've jumped the shark already and we've already gone to a place that really these latest stories and events have been foreshadowed by what's happened at the club level. Let's see how this carries on. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, your like button as well, and support us here on One Soccer.